Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for another Conversations with Rob episode. I have a special guest today, Karen Dulin. She is a sports star up in Rhode Island, originally from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and she's a professional boxer. And she also is a boxing instructor, too. So, Karen, we're going to get into the story of how I found out about you later on in the interview, but thanks for coming on, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So if you could just introduce yourself into the audience and tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I'm Karen Dulin. I'm from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I currently live in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm a professional boxer. I've been boxing for 16 years. I teach boxing, fitness, and then teach other various types of boxing to seniors and kids. And I also do like one-on-one training, so teach boxing instruction and or fitness and coaching. Life coaching is what that ends up being. But
Totally understand. But it must be fun, and you must have a lot of patience, especially to deal with people that maybe have never boxed there or haven't done athletics maybe in their life. So you must have a lot of patience. So I commend you for that.
yeah, thank you.
All right. So how did you get into boxing? As far as, taking up the sport?
I always wanted to box. I started actually with martial arts, believe it or not. I did kickboxing and karate. I have a black belt in karate as well. And I always wanted to fight. And at that time, I mean, I'm dating myself. This is a long time. This is like in the 90s. You didn't fight. It wasn't a thing. And so I ended up going into a boxing gym, and I just fell in love with it. And I guess, my life would have been pretty different if I stayed with martial arts. I imagine I probably would have ended up doing MMA instead. And it's a great sport, but I definitely love boxing.
Yeah, so since you just brought that up about, and I know you said you had done martial arts and karate a pretty good amount of time in your life. What is, we see a lot of people, you go to all these restaurants, they buy the UFC fights, the MMA stuff. Is that really hurting boxing as a sport because more people are kind of into that? No?
I don't think so. They're still separate entities. And actually, a lot of just from females actually that do MMA box as well. If you look at a lot of females that do MMA, they have 3, 4, 5 boxing matches as well, and they do that to stay busy. So the two kind of work together. It's not. I don't think they hurt each other.
So how is that different? And you would know it since you've done martial arts and karate and also boxed. How are they different? Do you need the same kind of somewhat skill set as far as, obviously you need that hand-eye coordination, but what are the similarities and the differences between the two types of sports?
So many things. So, boxing obviously is just hands. Well, I mean, using your hands, but a lot of footwork is what goes into that. But people who do martial arts actually work a lot on their footwork, and so and also punch accuracy. So someone who does martial arts, if they miss a punch, they're going to get taken down, they're going to get kicked. So there's so many different aspects that I actually train with. I'm fortunate. I train with a girl, Hillary Rose. I get to work with her, and we spar together, and I get to work with her trainer, and she's phenomenal. She has great hands, and it's nice to kind of work with them and have a different perspective too, because they're not just boxing based. So it's good to keep your mind open to some of those things, even though I'm not going to do martial arts or mixed martial arts. It's good to still be around other people doing different things, different disciplines. Yeah, so I enjoy it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back to boxing a little bit. Because you mentioned that you had done that, I wanted to ask those two questions about the UFC and stuff like that. As far as what is the state of women's boxing? I mean, we know the Olympics are coming up next year, and there will be women's boxing. And you read Sports Illustrated, and there's quite a few good women's boxers. I think there was a one girl from the UK that's really good, and obviously there's quite a few Americans. But what is the state of women's boxing? You hear a lot of publicity of men's boxing, and we go through every sport, whether it's soccer. baseball and softball. It's mostly they really publicize the men's sport and they don't give the women's sports enough credit. And in comparison, a lot of the women's sports dominate as far as Olympic play than the men's sports. But that's another story for another day. But what is the state of women's boxing compared to men's?
I mean, comparatively, it's still a separate sport. It's still
Right.
seen and treated as a separate sport. I mean, we fight 2-minute rounds. Pay is not correct, commensurate with what the men get, even though we're still putting ourselves in there the same danger that they are. It's better than it was, for certain. It definitely gets a lot more publicity than it used to. And a lot of that is due to the quality of fighters that there are. I mean, there's some really great women fighters, and a lot of them really represent themselves very well. I mean, I'm talking about even locally here.
Right.
Kaylee Reese is a boxer. She fought on HBO. She was one of the first women to fight on HBO. And she represents herself very well, and she travels throughout the world and boxes. She doesn't just stay at home. Shelly Vincent, who I'm going to be fighting next week, she's been on the world stage. She has titles. She made a name for herself. So, I think it's getting better.
Right.
Hopefully by the time some of these little kids that I train are getting in the ring, it'll be much better, and I can bring some girls into the sport and have them have a great experience. But
Right, so
yeah.
who locally? I know you just mentioned a couple of girls locally. Anybody locally else as far as women boxing? Is it really on the rise as far as the New England area, not just Rhode Island, but Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont? Is it really on the rise in the New England states for women's boxing?
We have some good fighters here. So, as I said, Kaylee Reese is from Providence, Rhode Island. Shelly Vincent is from Providence, Rhode Island. We have Marcia Agrippino. She lives in Connecticut. She's a pro boxer. Amanda Pavone, I fought her twice. She's 9-0 now, or 8-0. She's really an up and coming. And then there's amateur girls that will make their pro debut eventually, hopefully some of them, or go to the Olympics, and they're great as well. So we have a good little talent pool up here in this corner. And then, of course, New York's not that far away either, so it's a good place for us to go and get work and that kind of stuff as well.
Right, so we talk about a little bit about in the interview about the differences between women's boxing and men's boxing. And as you said, you both put yourselves on the line and you don't get the pay. So what type of purses, I know they call the money purses in boxing, what type of money does the woman boxing get compared to the men boxing? Obviously, it's not, equivalent, but is it really like out of whack, or is it like somewhat close or not close at all?
I mean, on the local level, smaller fights, it's probably a little bit closer.
Okay.
It's probably a little bit closer because especially, you have a woman on the card who's selling tickets. She's gonna get paid if she's selling a lot of tickets.
Sure.
And some of these girls, like when I was in Florida, for example, Jasmine Artiga, the whole place was there for her.
Wow.
They literally, they went crazy for her. So she sold tickets, and I'm hoping because of that she made a good amount of money. I was paid fairly for that fight. It was just 4 rounds. So, but it can measure it to what the guys made. I don't know what they made on that show, so it's hard for me to tell, but I would say I'm sure that I was paid a little bit less. Hopefully that's something that gets better again, because it's not just about women and men being equal. It's about just humanity, being fair to people who are doing this. We're doing the same thing. We still face the same dangers.
Well, we see that
permanently. Things happen in there.
No, I totally agree. And we see that the U.S. women's team, as far as soccer, they won, and they don't get paid as much as the men's team. And the men's team, to be honest, they stink. As far as the women's team is always winning, the men's team stinks. They don't do anything. We see women's basketball. They don't even get close to men's. Women's boxing compared to men. So hopefully we'll at least even the pay and feel on some spots, with all these women standing up and fighting as far as that goes. So I totally agree with you there. But to go into this, and this is the last question, and then I want to get into what you do as far as working with the seniors and, training other boxers. We've seen 2 male boxers die recently from head injuries. You hear about concussions and football and in soccer. And obviously, like you said, you put your life on the line going into the ring. You never know if you get hit in the wrong spot, you could be knocked out
Right.
and have some serious head injuries. Do you have fear about that when you step into the ring? Problems later on in life as far as memory and we see all these boxers. They come out in wheelchairs. A lot of these guys, football
Yeah.
players too.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I would be lying to say that it's not something that you think about sometimes.
Right.
But it's the price you pay to do something that you love. I mean,
True.
I could get hit by like, knock on wood, but anything could happen to me. I leave the house. Car accidents are hugely common. You never know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's the price you pay to do what you love. I'm very fortunate to be doing what I love, and I'm 43 years old. So I'm not. Speaking of getting into older age, like my memory is ridiculous. I've always had an unbelievable memory. I wish some of it would go away. Like I remember everything to the point that I get myself in trouble with other people because I remember more than they do.
Right.
So maybe that will happen later, but
Right.
I mean, I'm already halfway to later, so
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about that right now.
Right. No, that's fair.
I take good care of myself. I take good care of my health, and that's sometimes all you can do in life anyway. Everything
Agreed.
else is just, you know,
Right. No, I agree with you
anything's
100%. If you stay fit and you try the best you can, a lot to do with genetics too, so you
Yeah,
never know. So, but I
you
hear
never
you on
know.
that. So let's
Yeah.
talk about where I found about you in the Providence Journal. You see this picture of senior citizens boxing.
Yeah.
I think about my grandma who just passed away at 96, and she was in
No, I'm
tremendous health
sorry.
until the end. Getting out there. We hear a lot about. I have a family friend that at 90 something years old, she was bowling every day. So we
Yeah.
see people in longevity, living longer, and doing stuff like you said as far as boxing. But where did you get the idea? Did you get this idea to teach seniors how to box, and how did it take off?
Yeah. So I work for an organization called Newport Boxfit here in Newport, Rhode Island, and I was blessed with an opportunity to teach boxing with them like 6 years ago. They asked me if I wanted. I was in there helping another fighter, and they're like, "Hey, you want to teach a class?" And I was like, I didn't want to at the time. I was like, I don't want to teach boxing. I don't want to be a trainer. This isn't what I wanted. And as soon as I did it, I was like, this is great. Like, why am I not doing this? And it started with just a couple of fitness classes, and now I'm in the community, boys and girls club, kids classes, seniors. So we actually have this man named David who's 70 years. He may even be 71 now. Who comes to the box fit classes, like does burpees, and he's very he's an anomaly. He's great. So he actually approached me and said, Karen, you're a great trainer. I love working with you. He's like, I think you should go to the Edward King Senior Center and teach them boxing. And I was like, yeah, I'll go teach boxing anywhere. I'll teach boxing in a parking lot. I don't care. I love to teach it. I love to share what I know with other people, and to see them enjoying it makes me really happy. So, yeah, I started this off. I talked to the director over there, and at first she thought I was nuts, and I probably am a little nuts, but and now she's wants to hang on to me. Like, they got a grant to continue to pay
Wow.
me, and so my classes are staying, and people are continuing to come back. And seniors are a tough population because that generation was told that they can't do things and shouldn't do right. Back then it was like you
Right.
get to a certain age, you're supposed to go sit down on the couch and stop moving around, and that's exactly when you're done. So it's hard to get through to them sometimes, and to convince them that they can still come to class and they don't have to. We're not going to hurt them, and that we're really just going through the motions. Like, these gloves and pads, and they work together doing that. And what's great about that is that they learn to see boxing from both sides. They learn to see it from the punching side and from the catching side, and it's very good for their mind. Mind-body connection with boxing is huge. I teach them punching by the numbers too, so it's a lot of memory. I've seen great things happen to people from being there. And the first thing that I see is that they feel good. Like they're so happy when they leave because they did something that they didn't think that they could do.
Right.
You know, they didn't think that they could do something like boxing, but anybody can. You don't have to get in the ring and punch someone in the face or get hit. You can still go through the motions and do that and do the workout and learn the skills at any age, you know?
So do you see the same group of people, or do you see like how many people are in the class? Is it usually the same amount? Do you get the regulars, or you get the people that come every once a week or once every so often? How is the participation rate, I guess I would say, in that?
That's a good question. I have a good little core group, so I have a good little core group of like 6. And they're funny too. Like they'll actually text me and tell me that they're not coming to class, or tell me like that they're going on vacation. You know, so they're cute. Like they're very respectful of the fact that they sign up for the class. So you know they already put their it's not expensive. Seniors, it's a nice rate for the seniors,
Right.
but they already paying for it, and they sign up and commit to 6 weeks or whatever, and then there's little breaks in sessions. But they always tell me if they're not coming, and I get new people that come in, and again, I'm dealing with a senior population, so unfortunately things happen in their lives.
Right.
They're not well anymore. You know, so I do lose people occasionally to things like that. Just like anything else, I guess. But.
So Karen, have you seen like a lot of, I know you got that core 6, and then you may get a couple of other people that jump in and out. Have you seen, you know, with the core 6, like some improvements, and, you know, people that once they started out, they were like, hey, I'll try this, but I don't think this is going to work out for me. And then once they get in the thick of things, they're like, hey, I like this. I'm having a good old time here.
Yeah. I've seen huge improvements in people. You know, I think the biggest thing that I deal with people, especially when they start to hold mitts for someone, is that I forget that people are afraid to have a punch coming at them. Yeah. Like it's scary. It's scary for someone. For some of them maybe have real reasons for that, and some of them maybe don't even know why it's scary. It's just something that they never experienced. So I deal with a lot of safety issues there. And I see huge improvements with that, and their confidence, and they teach each other. Like they help each other, which is awesome. I love when the student becomes a teacher. That means that I did a good job at teaching them something. If they can go ahead and pass that on to somebody else, and I've done my job. So I see huge improvements in these people, in their balance and their coordination. Yeah, it's awesome.
So Karen, when you first start out the class, or when you first start out with the group, or even when you're teaching kids, what is the first thing you go into that first class saying, hey, we need to focus on this first before we can kind of move on to the next step and do other things?
Yeah, boxing stance. Right. Your boxing stance is your foundation. You know, there's a lot of footwork, and I can't just focus on footwork with people, especially if they're doing it sort of more on like a fun and fitness level, because they'll get bored. But that piece continually gets put into my class and focused on. So yeah, boxing stance, and just that's your foundation. Holding your feet the proper way, keeping your body posture a certain way, keep your hands up. We all know what happens when you don't keep your hands up. I sure do. I know what happens when you don't keep your hands up. So
yeah, you get whacked right in the face pretty hard.
it's gonna happen anyway, but
that's true.
But that's a surefire way to help it happen faster. So,
I know you said for the seniors, and you know, it's good memory for them, and especially as they get older, you know, that really helps them out and kind of keeps them active. For, you know, just a regular person that you're teaching, I know you say you're teaching a lot of young girls. What is the health benefits for them as far as just, is it basically staying fit, or what do you tell them when they come and say, hey, this is going to be a big benefit for you later on in life?
Well, I think the biggest thing that boxing does for people is creates confidence in them. Again, like I said, it's something that, you know, most people have never done before. Whether you're doing it for a workout or not, like for them to learn, and you see improvements in everybody. I see improvements in the people that take fitness classes. They throw tons of punches. So, you know, that muscle memory kicks in, and if they're doing things correctly, it's pretty awesome. Sometimes I'll stand back and watch my fitness class of 8 people or 10 people or 20 people and be like, man, these people look like they know what they're doing. It's pretty cool. Like, just from people who are just in there having a good time doing it. So I would say that confidence and just, you know, basic body function, like balance and coordination.
So the last question about that, and then I want to get into some fun stuff about you personally. What would be a message to, we see a lot of girls, and I just did an interview with a physical trainer at a gym, and I asked her this question too. We see, and you as a person that's in boxing, that works out clearly, and has been in the fitness realm pretty much all your life, would I have, I'd like to know the answer to this question too. We see a lot of women or girls too, go into the gym. They're like, hey, I don't want to do this. This is going to make me buff, or I'm going to look too big, or I don't want to do boxing because it's a man's sport and I'm worried about this and that. What do you get girls like that? And if you do, what do you tell these girls that, hey, it's not, you know, it's not just a man's sport, and it's not about being buff. It's about being, you know, physically fit.
Right. Well, you know, I think that that's something that we're always going to deal with women in our culture, because like this whole thing that I got going on has not always been acceptable, and it's something that I've battled, because I just have the genetics to be this. This is not like of course I work hard and I train hard and I eat well, but my body builds muscle. Not every human has that gene to do that. It's always possible to do, but some people have to do things, like most women have to work pretty diligently to have this kind of thing happen. So you know, and I also remind them that, you know, you're either made of muscle or you're made of fat. So it's up to you how you want to go about your life. But those kinds of things are tough. The whole muscle, am I gonna bulk up? Am I gonna build muscle? Like, don't eat so much. You eat a ton of food and you lift weights, like you're gonna build muscle. It might not look like this either. It might just be kind of fatty looking muscle. But yeah.
Right. Well,
yeah,
that's
I deal with that a lot.
And I think that you are, and I'm not just trying to say this because you're on the program here, but you are a good inspiration to young girls that, you know, you're out there helping them train. And, you know, as far as boxing goes, you know, as a guy, I don't really hear much about women's boxing. So I commend you for going out there and really kind of pushing the message and helping seniors and helping young girls. But I want to go into the last part of the interview about stuff about you. What is your favorite fight that you participated or fought in?
Well, that's tough. That's a tough question. You know, I love what I do, and I would say that probably in the past I forgot to enjoy what I was doing. I put a lot of I went into boxing and lost my pro debut. I lost. Who wants that? Like, it was, I was devastated. And then I lost my second pro fight too. And I just thought to myself, man, like, how am I gonna, how am I gonna keep doing this? Like, you got 2 losses. And for years, I really beat myself up about that and forgot that I'm someone who literally gets on airplanes and trains and in cars, and I go everywhere and I fight anyone.
Right.
Not excusing the fact that I still get losses, because some of those losses are definitely real. There are some that aren't, and I can't change any of those. And for me, in coming back to boxing, because I was out for 4 years, I had to kind of have a better relationship with all that in order to enjoy myself. Right. I love every time I get in there, and that's like even the times when I actually almost more so the times when it's hard, when you're having those moments in the fight that's hard, where you're like, oh my God, this person's gonna kill me, but you make it through that. Man, that's an awesome feeling when you're right. When you make it through, you fight your way through all of that. When someone's hurting you, or when you are doubting yourself and you fight through that, it's unbelievable. It is a great feeling. One of the best experiences I've had recently was in Philadelphia. Okay. I fought in Philadelphia February 23rd. I got in there with a girl who was 27 years old. She was 2-0. She had 2 knockouts. Everyone kind of thought she's going to knock me out. She thought she was going to knock me out, and she came. It's like, that girl could punch. I got hit a couple times, and I was like, not today. I was like, I'm not getting hit like this today. And I did a good job boxing her. I really, it all kicked in, and I I mean, a lot of people thought I won the fight. It was in Philly. You get a draw in Philly, that's a win. Like a draw in Philadelphia on the B side is a win. I was treated really well. I love Philadelphia anyway. The whole experience was pretty awesome. So I would say that more recently, that was one of my favorites. Texas was a good fight too, but yeah, I've been everywhere. I've been in the ring. This will be the 8th time I've been in the ring in the last year, next weekend.
Well, that's leading me into the next question, talking about that you've went all over the place. What is the most exciting place that you've traveled to?
Bermuda. I got to go to Bermuda.
Nice.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. It's beautiful there. Bermuda, I love Montreal too. Montreal's not that far away, but that was my first time up in Canada actually. The first time I fought in Montreal.
There's a lot to do there, a lot of culture stuff. It's a nice city.
Yeah,
I agree.
Fun. That was a good place.
But what is the most challenging event that you have faced? I know you talked about losing those 2 fights to start out your career. Is that the most challenging event that you faced in your boxing career, would you say?
No.
No?
No, I mean, they've all been challenging. In 2013, I got in the ring with Jelena Mrdjenovich. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's got like 50-something fights now. And she's, world champion, like 5-time world champion. And I was offered a fight with her on a 4 days notice. And I was like, what how do you say no? So if you're a fighter and someone asks you to get in the ring with Mike Tyson, you go get in the ring with Mike Tyson because it's an opportunity, right? So that one would say until now was my biggest challenge. This fight that I have coming next weekend is not an easy fight, and it's one that I never thought I would have the opportunity for. So it's a pretty big deal. I'm fighting Shelly Vincent. She's 25-2. My record, by the way, is 3-19 and 1. I got my 1 draw too. Yeah. So those kinds of fights in boxing don't happen. And she and I have fought twice. I've lost to her twice, like 7 years ago. So this is a huge opportunity for me. If nothing else, to get in there and show how much I've improved in those 7 years. This is not going to be an easy night for me. No. It's an 8-round fight. Yeah.
I know you said the fight was next weekend, correct? Where is that going to be? What time? Where can people see it?
Oh, it's not going to be televised. It's in Springfield. Yeah, it's in Springfield, Mass. At the MGM Grand. So the event itself is on UFC Fight Pass, but UFC Fight Pass refuses to televise fights like this one because of my record versus her record. I understand it. Well, there's a lot of like politics and.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a numbers game. Like if someone just looks at me on a piece of paper, I look pretty. It's pretty like
Right. But you got to look at the whole body of work too. But
exactly. But that's just not how our culture works. Unfortunately, is it? We look at how much money you have and what kind of car you drive, and not who's in the car, who's driving the car, and what they're about. So I get it. It's okay. I'm okay with it. I know who I am. So that's
all that matters. Okay. All right. So I got a couple more questions. What's your favorite color?
Oh, like this blue-green. It's all over my house, like this color.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. I'm a big blue guy too, so it works. Favorite kind of music? I'm a
rap and hip hop girl.
Okay.
So, yep.
All right. Favorite athlete or boxer?
Ooh, Mike Tyson was always one of my favorites.
Okay.
Love him.
And since you're a fitness person, Karen, favorite workout, whether it's training for boxing or favorite workout in general?
I mean, of course, I love to box, so that's probably my number one. But running was my first love.
Okay.
Running was my first love, so I love to do road work. I love to run, sprint, run hills, do all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But yeah, burpees, love my burpees.
Right. And favorite food, either cook or eat?
That's a tough one. Probably Favorite food? Well, so people actually have a hard time answering this question. I'm not a normal human at all. I don't like other people. So, and
Right.
coffee isn't a food, so that doesn't have cheese. We have to go with cheese.
Cheese,
I do
that's
love
fair. Okay.
go with cheese.
That's fine. All right, and last two questions of the interview. After you're done boxing, and you probably will never stop, but that's besides the point. Would you go into, besides training, any other career path? Have you thought of anything else, or are you just going to kind of box and teach until that's it?
I feel like I kind of found my purpose. You know,
Right.
box training is in teaching, and the way that I'm doing it is something that I could carry on with the rest of my life.
Right.
You know, injuries and things that happen, everyone has limitations. You can still work within those. You know, I work within other people's limitations. Why
Right.
couldn't I work within my own? So I'm very committed to continuing to hopefully build, and I probably need to make a little bit more money at some point. But right now, I'm happy. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I feel blessed to be doing what I love, and not really. I mean, I work for other people, but I still kind of work for myself. I wear what I want. I say
Right.
what I want. I teach what I love. It's a beautiful thing. So.
Right. And Karen, I
happy with
really go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
Okay. No. I'll talk forever about boxing, so you got to stop me.
All right. No worries, Karen. No, I appreciate it because I don't know I know my dad's a big boxing guy and he's went to tons of fights. Me, still learning the sport. I don't know that much about it, but I learned a lot through him. And through this interview, me and I believe the viewers learned a lot more about not just boxing, but women's boxing in general. So I really appreciate the interview. And the way I want to finish it is, how can we learn more about you? Do you have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter? How can people support you, whether it's going to fights? How can we see when you're fighting, to people in New England that want to go and watch a good fight? So if you could just give us that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm big on Instagram and Facebook. It's funny, I never used them until like 2 years ago. And I was like, why am I not using this stuff? No one knows what you're doing if you don't tell them.
True.
Right? So it actually helped me to kind of build like a clientele and get more people coming to classes and stuff. So I use Instagram a lot, and it's linked to my Facebook. So it's Karen Dulin. I don't have any fancy name. It's just my name, so people actually know who I am. And I'm on Facebook too, and I post everything, like from what I'm doing at the gym to kind of what I did for classes and when my next fights always are on there. So, and generally people can find a way to find my fight if it's online on my Instagram or Facebook as well.
All right.
So, yeah, any following me is always support, and yeah, just keep loving boxing. That's a great way to support me as well.
So Karen, and last thing is, if people do want to box in Rhode Island and they have a daughter or even a son, if you do teach boys too, how can they get in touch with you as far as, would it be through the Instagram to get in touch with you about, teaching their child how to learn how to box?
Absolutely. So people can message me on Facebook or Instagram. I also work at Newport Boxfit, so you can contact newportboxfit.com. They generally send me all the kids anyway.
Okay.
So that's, or if they want to come take a fitness class, that's another place to find me, and that's where I teach and train people as well. So, yeah.
All right, Karen, I appreciate the time. Definitely all the viewers here, check out Karen, and she gave you all of her information. I will put that up when I post the video to her Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to find more about her, and if you have a child that wants a box, you want to check her out as a fight, we'll put all that up. Definitely subscribe to the podcast, like, comment, and definitely send Karen some love. Karen, I appreciate the time. We'll definitely keep in touch. And I'd love to talk to you more down the road about, fights and stuff that's up and coming, especially with the Olympics coming as far as women boxing goes. So I'd definitely like to keep you on about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, Karen, thanks again. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, bye now.